purpose of this presentation is to inform you on listening. Does anyone know the difference between hearing and listening? Hearing is vibrations of sound waves on the eardrums, and listening is paying close attention to what we hear. Does anyone know what types of listening there are? Types of listening: appreciative, empathetic, comprehensive, and critical. Appreciative listening is listening for pleasure or enjoyment. Empathetic listening is listening to provide emotional support for the speaker. Comprehensive listening is listening to understand a message.
All right, comprehensive listening. First, let us learn what comprehensive means in this application, and to do so, understand the word comprehensive coming from the word comprehend. Comprehending is understanding with your mind, having a grasp on a particular subject or many subjects. You need a somewhat large vocabulary in many cases to understand what some speakers are talking about, but also sometimes the speaker may be speaking above the audience. That is why you hear people say things like, "Hey Doc, can you put that in lay terms for me?" In comprehensive listening, we need to be able to extract important facts or words from the speaker. Also, body language can be a tool to be able to understand the speaker. Also, body language can be used as a listener to help encourage the speaker. Pause that. Next up, we have critical listening. Critical listening is listening to evaluate a message. It involves judgment, analysis, and critical thinking. Does anybody know an example of critical listening? One example is a political debate. It occurs usually when the audience has a responsibility to evaluate what and how something is being said. Also, a problem may be spare brain time. People can think much faster than the speaker. You would think that this spare time would help in understanding what a speaker is trying to convey, but really it just gives your brain time to wander and become distracted. Just try really hard to avoid this because it's hard to get back to what the speaker is trying to present. Also, try to take listening seriously. Listening is the most important part of oral communication. If it weren't for the ability to listen, then speech would not exist. Be an active listener. You have a choice not to listen, to just sit back, daydream, and think about something else. There are ways to avoid this. Take notes for the rest of the office or the classroom as a volunteer. Sit in front and center. When you're ready for a speech in the beginning, it may be helpful to commit yourself to being able to repeat what a speaker is saying. Resist distractions. Have you ever been in a loud room where there's a baby monitor and wonder how in the world does the mother hear that over the chaos in this room? This is proof that you really put your mind to it, you can resist almost any distractions. And once again, don't be distracted by the way a person speaks or looks. Just try to focus on the message. Also, try to suspend judgment. Do not let your emotions take over. If you disagree with what the speaker is saying, do not respond with an emotional response. Remember, when emotions are high, communications are at their lowest. Don't have a superiority complex. Develop note-taking skills. Like I had said, put yourself in a position in which you are committed to note-taking. Even if there is a handout presented, just writing things down helps store things away in your memory. Also, work on focus listening. Listen for the main points. You do this when you get a second opinion from a doctor. Also, whenever discussing, say, financial contracts. Look at the evidence. Is there a source? Is the source credible? Does it relate to the point? Does it seem reasonable to you? And then also technique. So as you listen more and more to important ideas, everyone will develop their own techniques. Try to do this by watching political debates or teaching lectures, listening to people's opinions on issues and how they came about having that stance is a very important skill to master. And I'd also like to end with a quote from French philosopher Voltaire. You gain power when you listen, you give it away when you speak.